All right, guys, back with some interesting information here. So we got another poll here from Nanos, and I know it's Nanos. I know you guys don't really like Nanos. I'm not a huge fan of it, although they were fairly accurate this election, so can't complain too much. That being said, they do have a federal polling where they had the Liberals at 44%, and they're down to 40. The CPC, the Conservatives, is at 39. They're down -2 from the election. Now, Nanos did have the Conservatives at around 39-40%, I believe, so the Conservatives did overperform by a point or two, which is in the margin of error, so you can't even really give them too much crap. But the information here that's really interesting is the NDP is at 10% already. So they, on the election, they got, see exactly here, 6.3%. They're at 10 now, according to Nanos. And here's why that's good news. And I made a few videos about this, and the reason I'm making this video just because I want to, every time the NDP starts to do better, I know it gives us a lot of hope. And I know you guys like the videos. I know you guys we all need some hope right now. It's kind of a depressing time if you're conservative or anti-modern liberalism. So having the NDP get up by 4 points in a month is good news. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to immediately vote non-confidence for an election, of course. They just appointed a temporary leader. They need to appoint a real leader, and they need to figure out a way to get some money. And once they do that, and their numbers continue to rise if that happens, then I think we likely will see a vote of non-confidence. There are even some people in the Conservative Party, or conservative insiders, I guess you could call them, that are saying that they think an election's coming in 2026. I don't know about that. I think it's going to be a little bit later. I think it's going to be maybe early 2027. But again, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. So maybe we do see an election in 2026. The only problem is the NDP is so broke. I just don't know how long it's going to take for them to get some money. It's not easy to get a lot of fundraising. And they don't. It's not like they're like a couple $100,000 away, right? They need a lot of money. They're flat broke, so it's going to take time. However, once they do get their new leader, and they can get some fundraising, and this number goes from 10 to 12 to 14 to 16 or 18, they're going to look at that and say, "Hey, look, we can get official party status back." And if Mark Carney does what a lot of us think he's going to do, which is a whole lot of nothing. Just a lot of, false promises and empty claims. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to have buyer's remorse. You're already seeing 4% of people move over to the Liberals. Now, the Conservatives are also down 2 points. But then again, this is Nanos. The Conservatives usually slightly overperform Nanos. So essentially you have basically a virtual tie, but that's nothing new from the last poll. But the NDP at 10%, hitting double digits again, not even a month after the election. This is from May 23rd. So, I mean, it's very, very interesting. The Bloc, no change. They're at 6. The Greens are up 3. And the People's at 1%. Which hopefully soon turns into 0% because that's a really garbage party. Well, so is the Greens, so is the NDP, so is the Bloc. They only serve the province of Quebec. So it's very interesting here. How much is this number going to go up for the NDP? And how long is it going to take? Because I don't think it's going to take that long. The problem is, like I said, is that it's going to take them a long time to get money, probably, but maybe not. Again, I don't really know the process of, how easy or how difficult it is to get fundraising. I'm sure it's easy to get a little bit, but I've heard that they need a lot. Like they're in debt, they're broke, they have no money. They're in disarray right now. But in the next few months, maybe 6 months or so, they get a new leader, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're getting some more funding, and all of a sudden they're at 12, 13, 14%. And they table that budget, the Liberals table the budget rather, maybe I think they're doing it in the fall, but they could push it back to December, I believe. If that's not a good budget, and the NDP is doing a lot better than we think, and they've already got a strong leader, and they're making a lot of gains, they want their status back. And that all their support basically is going to come from the Liberal Party. So in the next 6 months to a year, Mark Carney is going to be under some pressure to actually do some positive things here. And every promise they break, And every mistake they make, they're going to spin it in a positive way to try to trick Canadians, just like they kind of tricked Canadians during their election campaign. Elbows up, here's retaliatory tariffs, and then we find out a few weeks ago now that Mark Carney eliminated most of those tariffs on April 16th, almost 2 weeks before the election and 1 day before he met with Donald Trump. So they're going to be really sneaky about it, of course. They're going to try to dupe Canadians again. I don't know if it'll work this time because they don't have any other plan. Like, who are they going to switch Mark Carney out for if he decides to leave? Because they already voted against giving themselves the power to oust their leader. So if he decides, like, hey, things are going really bad, what a disastrous year, and he decides to leave, who else do they have? Chrystia Freeland? Okay, no one likes her. Even her own riding voted for Mark Carney. Karina Gould, same thing. They're not beating Pierre. No way. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next year. But this number here, if the NDP going up and up and up, so far, is a good sign. But let me know what you think. Do you think that we're going to have an election in 2026? Or do you think it's going to be at least 2027, maybe even after? Please do not be shy. Let me know what you think. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll be back shortly with a new video.